everybody, to Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate podcast. I'm Kate. I will be your host tonight. Scott is unable to make this one. I would like to say we are on episode 27, which is huge. So that's wicked. Our sponsor this time around is Governor's Pub and Eatery in Sydney, Nova Scotia. So thank you for your support with that. Tonight's guest, we have a Maritimer herself and a unbelievable trainer, and she has so many stories to tell. So I'm so excited to get to talk to Teesha Symes. Welcome aboard, Teesha, and it's nice to sit and chat with you.
Yes, what's going on?
Awesome. So you've had, you're into it and you're heavy into it. So that is awesome. And can you kind of tell us how you got into harness racing?
Yeah, I'm a third generation gypsy. You said you're into it. I'm into it all over the place. I've been everywhere, it seems. But yeah, mom and dad, we had racehorses growing up, but my dad's dad, Teesha Symes, he started out in the business. I was like 5 or 6 when he passed away, and dad got out of the business when he passed away. He said it was too much. He backed away, and we didn't have any horses. And I was young. I didn't know what it was like to have horses. We were in the barn the day I was born, but I was too young to remember that, obviously. So by the time my grandfather passed away, he'd gotten back out of the business, and 2 years went by, and he got a couple horses with Big John Davies.
Oh, wow.
Joanne and Chris's dad, and we started making the trips up to St. John. I was maybe 7 or 8, and he kind of kept me at a distance. Dad did, and you're too little to harness, and I don't want you getting hurt. Get out of the way, and stay out of John's way. And John was so great. Dad would walk out of the barn, and he'd throw a harness to me and give me a bucket, and he'd say, "Get up there." Really? How do I do that? And Chris would be right there, and this is how you do it. And Joanne would hold the head. They were so good to me. But that's kind of how I started in the business, going up to St. John on the weekends. And then dad got back into it a little more heavy after that. We did really well with John and Chris and Joanne, and he got a couple more. We went back to Amherst, Nova Scotia. There was a little racetrack. They did a little matinee racing there. I don't think they ever had Prime Mutual racing there, but he had a couple there. And we started going to churro on Sundays, skipping church and going to churro. I was okay with that. Totally okay with missing Sunday school. Love churro more than church. God forbid. But we grew up doing that into my, I guess, probably early teens. We started going to PEI. He got into more and more horses, and I started being more and more help, less of a nuisance. So he got more horses. And we started going to PEI for the summers. He'd take me out of school 2 or 3 weeks early in the summers. I'd miss graduation, report card days, and get your butt to PEI. We'd live in a travel trailer all summer. We'd have probably around 8, 10 every year. I'd miss the first couple of weeks of school in the fall. We'd skip all that and stay in PEI. After they closed down, we'd go back to home, Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. And he would just give everything a rest. It seems like he used to buy a lot of cripples. So that was our rehab time, was the winters. Obviously, we didn't have a track at home. So he'd give everything the winters off. And then we'd start training back on an old logging road.
Oh, wow.
Yes. We'd ship them to an old logging road, and I'd sit on the side and we'd tow like 3 sets, so 6, bang, 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 get them all done. And then start taking them to churro to train once they got close. Once we got close to qualifying, we'd either qualify in churro or take them over to Charlottetown and do it all over again. It wasn't until I think my late teens, early 20s, we started going to Maine for the summers, a little bit more money, more opportunities, and started my love for America.
Awesome. So yeah, you've been around and you've seen so much. As you started really getting hands-on within the harness racing world and the amazing opportunities that you got to work with, can you tell us more about like who you got to work with and what that experience was like?
That's the one thing that I really look back and thank myself for doing was becoming a gypsy. I wasn't afraid to leave home. I left home first time, I think I was 18 or 19 and went to Ontario with Ian Moore. Shadow play. That was 2007, 2008. So yeah, I was right out of high school, right out of college. Just
Wow.
a child, literally knew nothing. We was in the barn one day doing vet work for dad in PEI, and he must have just caught me on the right day because dad and I must have been arguing about something, equipment or something silly. And he said, "You want a job in Ontario?" And I was like, "Yeah." And dad's behind me. "No, there's like 12 head here." I was in the truck and I was on my way to Ontario the next day. So I started out there with him, and he actually shipped me to New York.
Oh wow.
Shadow Play had the messenger at Maywood, the Balmoral, American National, and then I think we finished with the British Crown Limb and final at the Meadowlands that year. And I was just dropped off by a Doyle rig to Mark Ford's training center with Shadow Play at like 19 years old. Here, good luck. Obviously, Ian came down for the races and stuff, but I get to meet Mark Ford, who actually is coming to our wedding this weekend, and like Carl Conti. You just, when you place yourself in those opportunities, it's sink or swim. It's say
Right.
hello and meet the people and talk to them and learn or don't. And I'm
Exactly.
so glad that I did, because being a gypsy has given me so many opportunities, and I've just been here, there, and everywhere and took little bits from everybody and learned so much from everybody. So I'm really glad I got to do that over the years.
Oh, that's awesome. As you take the leap with your own stable, you were, there's always been challenges, I'm sure. Like, is there some challenges that you've had that kind of really stand out to you, that really has made you like a better trainer and even maybe a better horseman?
Yeah, I think we'll probably talk about this a little bit later too. Being a female. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, there's lots of females in the business now, and it's not the same as it used to." And it's getting better, but it's still a male-dominated sport. And I don't care who tells you that it's the same. It's not the same. At the end of the day, I have a really great group of owners and a group of owners that have trusted me 100%. But I've also had owners that haven't. And well, why don't you try it this way? Well, so and so said to try it this way. So and so's a male. It's,
Exactly.
trust me, the way that I like to do things is a little bit of a different approach than a said male. I don't rush them. I don't force them. They're too big to fight with. Let them do it on their own. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I struggled with, was trying to start from nothing and show people, improve people that I can do it. Like, just let me do my own thing. I can promise you I can do it. That's
Exactly.
one of the biggest things, I think.
Okay, cool. That's very interesting to hear. I like that. Um, so over the time, you've had an absolute phenomenal stud that I know
Couple.
that is very true. That is very true. This one was very near and dear to you, and unfortunately, we lost him. But can you kind of tell us how you ended up with Rockin' in Heaven, aka everyone knows him as Mo?
Mo.
Because Ian Moore had him first, and then you had him. So can you
He
kind of
did.
tell them?
Yeah, he did. He actually gave him the nickname Mo, and I still have no idea why. I think it was like a band, a rock band or something, Mo Rockin'. But we always used to give them nicknames when they get off the truck from Harrisburg, and I would write all their names on their brushes. At Ian's, they all have different brushes, so the barn names would be on the brushes. And I'm like, I couldn't think of one for this Rockin' in Heaven. Like, didn't want to call him Heaven because everybody would think he's his dad. And I said, Ian, we need a barn name. He said Mo, and it just stuck. So that's where he got the nickname Mo. But I was in a car accident actually. I worked for Ian off and on for 10 plus years. Went to Florida for 5, 6 winters, and it was getting around the time to go to Florida. And I was in a car accident in September, got T-boned, really messed my back up with doctor's appointments and chiropractors. And I was real nervous about going to Florida that year and not being able to access my health care. So I made the call and I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a go and stay in Canada this year. And Ian was pissed. He was really upset that I wasn't going to follow him along. I'm sure it was hard to replace me, as he's told me in years past. But I said, screw it. I'm going to do it. I wasn't really in the shape to say open up a stable physically at that point. And I said, I had a truck and trailer at the time. I'm just going to do a little freelance paddocking and I'm going to stay here in Canada. So that was my game plan. 2 weeks later, the connections of Rockin' in Heaven called and said, listen, are you interested in keeping this old horse for the winter? And I was like, hard. I didn't have a horse. I didn't have any, like, nothing. Dad obviously set me up harness wise. I had my own truck and trailer at the time, but I was like mind blown. I said, pardon? They said, well, you know what? We've seen the connection that you guys have had over the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't think he'll do well without you. And I just took a step back and I said, holy shit, like, what a statement to say. Absolutely. Again, I wasn't really in the best physical shape at the time. And that old horse took care of me like you wouldn't believe. He taught me so much. He was so gentle. Like, I just, I can't think. I get emotional talking about him, but I can't thank that horse enough. But that's actually how we ended up getting him. I think there was 5 or 6 ownership connections at the time, and they bought two of them out and decided to leave him in Canada for the winter. And the rest is history. $600,000 added to what Ian had already made with him. New lifetime record, a preferred win for me, trip to the Gold Cup and Saucer. The memories are endless on and off the track.
Yes, absolutely. Even from the photos like you have, like you can tell the bond that you guys had and how special he was. So, and now you have one of his babies, and I love following her journey. Like I've fallen in love with her. Just he has such a personality, and she is so gritty, and she's just so fun to follow. So
Makes
I
me
just
so proud.
she,
She hasn't even done anything really on the racetrack yet, but she makes me so proud.
absolutely. That's awesome. I love hearing about it. Um, Another one that you've had has been Cashmere Richie P. He was an interesting one you had as well. So what was he like?
Kind of like the same story. I had him at Ian's, looked after him at Ian's at 2, and I think at 3 too. And Ian had him for the next couple of years. He didn't want to send him to Florida that next winter. I think he was coming to be 6 or 7 at the time. Anyways, didn't want to winter him in Florida, and he called and said, "Would you take him?" I said, "Absolutely. I know him. I know it." Like, had him at 2 and 3. It was kind of the same stepping stone, and he came. We gave him a little bit of time off, and he raced pretty good for us in Canada the first little bit, and he got the bleeding over Lasix on me. And I said, shit, like, I don't want to quit with this horse. He still has all kinds of go. We started bringing him down here during COVID, and they can actually give up to 10 cc's of Lasix in the States, which is game changer. He raced so phenomenal for us here at Scioto. Had a blast when Canada was shut down. I think he went in 51 a couple times at Scioto. Had so much fun. Went back to Canada, same thing. He got bleeding over Lasix on me. Just wasn't the same horse he was there. So I started taking him over to Buffalo, shipping him over. I knew he needed to be somewhere that had more Lasix, and it was only a 2-hour ship. So loaded him in the trailer. And last year we had a ton of fun. Buffalo and Batavia. He won 4 or 5 races over there, worked his way up to the Open. He was a lot of fun. We actually brought him down here when we come down, gave him a little bit of time off. He's been struggling with a tendon sheath for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 starts in Canada and Batavia, Buffalo. And I said, why don't we give him a month off, try to bring him back, let him tell us. He didn't want to do it. I started training him back, tried to train him in like 35, run. Goldberg is a great guy. He understands. He totally trusts me. And I just picked up the phone. I said, he's ready. I think it's time. Let's hang the harness up. So he's actually hour north of here. I'm terrible with directions.
Oh wow.
At an Amish turnout farm. He's a beautiful facility, living his best life. He still has his nuts, so he needed a special place to be turned out, and obviously can't be out with other horses and stuff. So yeah, he's an hour or so away from here, and I stop in and visit him 2 or 3 times now since we quit with him. But he's living his best life.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing
Yeah.
that. Another one is Laugh Again Hanover. You had fun with him because he was another Gold Cup and Saucer horse that you got to try out with and have a little fun. So it's not, he doesn't seem to be a big horse. Like
He
he
is
seems
a miniature pony, but man, does he have a motor.
exactly. Oh my, he ever
He had Donnie McRae was looking for a Gold Cup horse, and he said, "Get on the hunt. This is what I want to spend. I want a Gold Cup horse." So I got on the horn, and I was like, "I'm gonna find you a Gold Cup horse." I reached out to Mark Weaver, and he said, "Well, I have this horse, Laugh Again. He's half mile expert, not real big." Sent the name to Donnie. Donnie said, "I like him. See, let's get it." I drove down to Northfield, picked him up, got him in Canada. I only had him, geez, a week maybe before I put him on the trailer and brought him to Charlottetown. We raced him in an overnight in Charlottetown, just kind of feeling him out. He win, did it pretty handy. And I said, "All right, let's turn this up and try to win a Gold Cup next week." So we did make the final. He drew the 7 hole in the final and took him to the back. He was no good in the final, but I had fun with that little horse. I only had him for a short period of time, but he gave me brought back a lot of memories. Being there with Mo in the Gold Cup was something special. You watch that race your whole life growing up. I remember being on the barn rooftops, like McPhee's barn, and
Yeah.
as a kid watching this race, and then to have one of your own go under the spotlight and her singing the island hymn, you just get goosebumps the first time. But then you come back the second time and it's like, all right, I'm not here messing around. Like, I'm here to
Yeah.
win this. To have two and like had only been training for 4 or 5 years, have two take down and two make the finals, been pretty good odds for us. So I'm still knocking on the door. I haven't won one yet. So I'm still hungry, but Laugh was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing it. And like that's yeah. Going into, the next question was, what was it like growing up with the Gold Cup and Saucer? As you said, it was fun, but having your own in it is just unbelievable. And being a
Game
female,
changer.
like that's huge as well. So it's like, and being a Maritimer, like that,
It
and that,
seals the deal.
yeah, exactly.
It's home. It's home. And
Exactly.
I know I'm from Nova Scotia originally, but like I grew up in PEI. It's home to me. It's I've been everywhere. I've seen the jug, raced in the Breeders' Crown, raced in the Metro, raced pretty much everywhere. And to go home, there's nothing like it. I don't know if it's because it's home or because of the spectacular show they put on, the production. Like it's a whole 3 week endure when you take a horse down there. The horse
Mhm.
it ends up being more than that, week before, week after, off the whole 9 yards. But the trip down, it like the anticipation is through the roof. And then you get there and you have to go. You don't have to, but I enjoyed sitting through the trial draw where the
Yeah,
girls are there and they draw those right there live, and then you get to do the parade, and then the ambassadors do draw night. Like it's a whole 2 weeks of a production leading up to the most memorable night in harness racing, in my opinion.
exactly. Absolutely. So that's awesome. Most of us know that you took the big leap with your soon to be husband and moved out of
I
Canada.
did. I did. I'm so happy I did.
So that's awesome. Kind of tell us what made you decide to do this and what, because like you've said, you've been everywhere. You have always traveled. So what really made you decide to settle in the States?
It's been a big move. The big word is settle because I am a gypsy. I like to call Ontario unterrible for the sole
Oh,
reason that there's no family there.
right.
All the Maritimers go there because of the money, the racing opportunities. It's not home. It's a rat
Right.
race. You go, go, go. It's 13, 14 nights in a row racing. It's a rat race. It's simply put, it's a rat race. And when we come down here for Jug Week, I know it's different Jug Week, but the family's here and there's just such a Bo's family, obviously, not mine. It's just such a different vibe. It's not a cutthroat business. It's not go, go, go. And
Right.
when we decided to make the move, a little bit had to do with the cost of living. It's just so crazy in Canada and Ontario. And like I can't even, everybody knows the housing, the food, the fuel. It just got to be outrageous. And we just felt like we were struggling to keep our head above water. And it's not, I want to do this, but I want to do well at doing it too. I want to have nice things. I want to go on trips. I want to be able to do those things. So Bo and I had talked about it for a couple years, and he really liked Ontario, really liked Canada, had a really great group of friends there when he was there. I said, but we have no family here. And that was the end. That was the pushing point. We wanted to come
Right.
here with the family, have the aspect. Like tonight, we Chase, his nephew, was like, "Are you coming to my baseball game?" And I normally would be there. I was like, "I gotta do a podcast, buddy." And he's like, "What's a podcast?" But in Ontario, I don't have that opportunity because my family's
Right.
20 some hours away. So the biggest thing for us was the family and of course the cost of living. But we decided to switch, take a huge transition and try babies, try our hand at babies. I was in Georgian a couple years ago and it was like a random Sunday night and I looked around the paddock and there's a whole bunch of older gentlemen standing around. Their suits are all torn up. They just look miserable, just not happy to be there. And I called Ian the next day and I said, I don't want this for myself. And he said, what do you want? And I said, I want more. I want to be in the stake races. I want to have the younger horses. He said, well, the only way to do that is get the younger horses.
Right.
So we decided this fall that we were going to talk to the owners and try to transition into the younger horses. So we have 8 Ohio bred babies here this year.
Wow.
Yeah, we bought a couple out of Harrisburg, a couple out of the Circleville sale. There's a couple homebreds there. And it's been the biggest transition is switching from the racehorse vibe to the babies. I'm loving it. It's been huge for the Molly just dropped a tennis ball for me. It's been a huge transition for the go go go. Not a rat
Right.
race because we're not racing because they're babies. There's just a lot of training. She never gives up. Sit your butt down. Um, yeah, it's I only have 2 racehorses right now. There's 17 there total. Like I said, 8 Ohio bred babies. But it's just so much slower and more relaxed. And
Right.
obviously, we're ramping up right now. Uh, Qualify probably around mid June when the stake races start. But all winter, it was so nice just to take a breath and enjoy the family and enjoy training these babies down and hopefully seeing what they've got in store for us. We went 2 trips today and they're all, knock on wood, been pretty good, right around 9-10 range. So that's been the biggest transition was switching from the racehorses to the babies and country switch wasn't a big thing for us.
No.
Like I said, I'm a gypsy, been all over the place, but I think that's been the biggest.
Okay, cool. So with those 8, I touched base on Mo's baby. Tell us a little bit about her because she has her own story because you started her and then the worst thing that you could think of at the time happened and now she's qualified. Like
She
she
is.
even raced. Like and looked amazing.
Which we were shocked that she wouldn't. But she's actually 3. So she's he stood in Ontario that year. So he is, or she is, I should say, Ontario bred. So she's 3 and tried to die numerous times on us so far. Had a stint at the University of Guelph, colic surgery, $14,000 later. We weren't sure if she was going to live, let alone be a racehorse. So for her to qualify here at Scioto, it was just, you couldn't wipe the smile off my face. I'm like a proud grandma because Mo was like my child, and now this is like my grandkid, which makes me feel old. But she is a clone of him, not only in body, but personality. It's scary. Like she eats honey buns like him, she spins her head out the stall like him, she paces like him. The first day I sat in the race bike behind her, she's hitting my feet out of the stirrups like he did. And I'm just, every time she does little things like this, I'm like, deja vu. Deja vu. This is crazy. Now, if only she could be a quarter as good as he was, we'll be all set. But honestly, she doesn't have to do anything. She's got a home for life. We'll breed her. She's I can't say replacement because we'll never replace them, but she is the next child, prodigy child.
Absolutely. She's just stunning. Like she's
She is
got
beautiful.
God, she is such a looker. So I'm so excited to follow her along because she's caught my attention from day one. So like keep continuing. So I love it.
Hopefully she's actually up in Ontario right now. I took her up last week to Mitch Tierney. So
Okay.
hopefully she's got some stake races coming up and it's hard to get Ontario breds in down here. There's such a
Oh
good
wow.
program they cater to the Ohio sired. So I said, you know what? She needs to be up there. So Mitch has got her, so fingers crossed. She does some good things and puts a little bit of money in her bank account anyway.
Yes, exactly. So I know I've chatted to you before about, some things that have come up in harness racing as being a female. Is there something within the industry that you think could, we could get more female drivers, we could get more, female trainers? Is there something that we could, because I know myself, it's always been a goal to be a trainer. I do most of the jogging and I go out and I've trained. So our, our so our 3-year Billy, like she was my first 2-year-old I ever jogged, ever trained. And now that she's been racing ever since. And it's like that feeling that you've accomplished something and being out on that track with all them men and still knowing that you're doing stuff within the male dominant, sport. There's got to be something that we can maybe drive more people or more females to come out of the behind the scenes to be a trainer or possibly a driver someday.
You said it, come out from behind the scenes, because if you go through the paddock any night in Mohawk, it is 3/4, if not all, females. The behind the scenes is almost all females lately, and I love that for the business. But we do need more of us out on the track. We do need more of us hands on. Today I was looking out. We had one set of babies. They're just a little on the smaller side, so we race biked them today around 9. And there's just me and one other girl out there. There's 20 some jog carts and horses out there at a time, and there's just 2 of us. I hate it. I love that there's 2 and not 0, but at the same time, I'm like, why can't we? But I think we need more females to bring more females in. I don't think an older generation horseman's gonna say, here's the lines, go try it. If you say, hey, I want to do it, I'm sure you could pester and pester and pester, and they still might not say, okay, here, go try it. But I know I had a couple girls in the last 4 or 5 years work for me, and it was the first thing I wanted. Once I knew they were capable and could handle it, I'm sitting on the jog cart and they're jogging.
Right.
Mo, actually, Anna, a girl that worked for us for a little bit, great girl, she wanted to train. And I said, well, I got the best horse in the world for you. I sent her out with Mo and I said, listen, if you fall off, he's going to go in 35. He knows where the posts are. He knows where to speed up. You just sit there, whatever you do, don't slap him in the ass or you're going for a ride.
Right.
But just take the watch, look at the posts, look at the watch where you're at, and get a gauge for it. Well, she was hooked. I had her in sets with me and she was like just beaming from chin to chin. Like she just couldn't, I love this. I love this. I said, but this is what more people need to do. And I
Right.
think a lot of guys are scared physically, say we can't hold one, or you just got to do it. And you get better at doing it by doing it. Today I
Right.
was in the 2-hole. We went with a set of 3 babies, and I've got a Seaside filly. She is like, whoa, is all I can say about her right now. And she's sitting in the 2-hole. We're coming to the 3/4 pole, and she's getting pretty grabby on me. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm sitting on Bo's back, like, let's go, like, get out of the way. But at the same aspect, I'm thinking, I'm glad my holders are where they're at, because if they weren't, I'd be in trouble. And if I was in trouble, the first thing that all the guys say is, well, I'll get someone else to go with that horse next week.
Right.
What? I've seen millions of men get run away with. It's not a
Yep.
man or a female thing. It's a strong thing. It's definitely a muscles, and any driver will tell you if you take time off, you have to build those muscles back up. It's
Right.
not a female to a male thing. So I think more people need to allow us to try it. My dad, he's the first person to say, well, I'll just go. Well, and I didn't train one till I jogged when I was like 7 or 8, but because I pestered and pestered and pestered. And I don't think I trained one till I was in my 20s. And I don't think he would have let me train if I didn't pester.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of the girls are going to take no over and over and over again. You told me no once, I'm just going to put my tail between my legs and go do what I do well and groom.
Right.
But you need to you need to have older gentlemen say, here's the opportunity. Here, go. If they want to learn, then you have to let them try, but you can't do that if you don't let them try. But I think a lot of people younger generation too, we need to get them in the business before they get hooked on something else. I think we need to get into more job fairs, more college fairs. We need to get them hooked at an early age so that they're not gone focusing their career somewhere else. And I think they do a really good job with that here in Delaware. They have a school program, and it's a high school program. They have a whole barn here. The buses let them off in the morning, and they work with the horses. They have a double seated jog cart, and there's girls out there all the time learning. Whether or not they stick around is another question, because there's a lot of other opportunities in life, and people go to college and the whole 9 yards. But they're getting their feet wet, and they're knowing what the business is. I think that's a huge stepping stone. It's something that we really need to work on as an industry.
Absolutely. I love that you touch base on like how people like how the men, as soon as you say, oh, that horse got, a little bit grabby and it was a little strong and, jogging or going a trip, and they instantly say, well, I'll go next time. Because it was brought up this weekend when when I had to go race the filly in the paddock, and I had her out, and Andy said to me, when you're done, you're going to have to go out and warm up Bud. And I was like, okay, no problem. And we spoke to Evan Wilson, and we were like, Evan, do you want to go out and warm up Bud? And he's like, well, and everyone knows he's a hot horse as it is. He's a strong, super strong horse, and he can be super grabby and ignorant. But I didn't have that time to quickly go out in between the two races to go warm him up. So Evan went out, and when I came back with the filly, he looked at me, he's like, I don't know how you held him. He said, because I know I had a hell of a go to hold him. He said, I really do not know how you do it. I said, I know the horse, I guess, and I've put myself in that position that I need to know that I can do this. I
Yep.
want to do it. So I'm
Yep.
going to. So
100%.
it's
And I think horses know too. Horses know when to take care of you. State treasurer. He was an absolute runaway. He got put on the judges list at the Meadowlands one day, winning 49 with the plug still in for uncontrollable. He run
wow.
away on David Miller. We actually took him to Florida, shut him down instead of pre-qualifying him. Ian said, we'll just shut him down for the winter. And I started jogging him. And Ian's like, I never in my life did I think that a female or anybody like younger, he didn't really say female, I'll give him that, but I knew what he meant, would be jogging this horse. He said he's a runaway. He wears a pull strap. He's out there plopping along, just do 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 do. Ian's jogging by me, just scowling, like, how the hell did you do that? And it's just like you said, you just sometimes they take care of you. But I know Bo's really great about it. If I have one that's a little bit grabby, I'll put a mini bit on for me. Might not wear it for Bo, but it will for me. It's not a
Right.
female or a male strong thing. It's the muscles. Like it's different horses. He has horses that wear dog chains. Sometimes when I go on them, I won't wear the dog chain. It just depends on the horse and your hands too. I know a lot of
Exactly.
people have a little bit of stronger hand, and that doesn't mean male or female. It's just some people have heavier hands, and that's just the way it goes. But it's definitely not a female or male thing, and so many men will tell you, I'll go with that one next week. No, I'll your hood and the snake cord, and I'll be fine. But we need to have more females stand up for themselves and say that, and not be scared, because I've been run away with a couple times. It's not a good feeling. But at the end of the day, they get tired. Just ride it out. They'll get tired. Yeah, your arms feel like jello, but next time you put your holders up a little farther, like I said, throw an ear hood on, throw a snake cord on. It'll be better next time. You just can't quit. It's like anything. You want to get good at basketball. You don't quit because it was hard or quit because you had a bad game. Go out, try something different. Keep going, keep trying.
Exactly. Yep. I totally agree. And I use myself in the example. Andy claimed Prince Adam, and I was putting on the amateur races, and I was like, I need one more. I need one more person. Like, I need to have another person in this field. And I said to Andy, I'm taking Prince. Andy was like, no, you're not. You haven't jogged him. You haven't done anything. And I said, I'm taking him. I don't care. I'm taking him. I'm
Got
gonna do
this.
it. And I went out, and I knew the horse enough for paddocking and grooming and all that stuff. as soon as I hit that track, I was like, oh no, this is a whole different world. And I got there, and then I couldn't get my fingers because my hands are small, and I couldn't get my fingers with the whip figured out there.
It's
So
a lot. When you first get used to that, it's a lot.
so I'm like fidgeting, and so I like pulled them up to where the fans were on the back stretch, and I forgot how Prince was, and I was like, oh no. And he reared, and all I could remember is if it was, I'm pretty sure it was Nick White, and he said, hold on tight. And then there was people hollering at me, get her up. He's dangerous. He's gonna kill her. And I'm
You
like,
could have
nope.
did it to anybody.
So I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to do it. So I just gave a big belch out, and Prince was like, oh, game's on. And he went,
That.
and he came running. What are you doing? I called up. I said, take this. And I whipped him around into the gate, and I was like, that was it. And I remember the starter saying, whatever you did, Caitlin, he said, keep doing it. He said, because you're in it for the long haul now. And I was
I
just like,
love
okay.
that.
So I was like, man. And it was funny because even from like now, like day one, everyone's like, hey, that horse knows you. That is your buddy. That is your best friend, he said. And he was my first to train the wrong way of the track. And because you could never turn him.
Oh
So it's
boy.
trying to figure out rating yourself going the wrong way because you're so used to going the right way.
Yeah.
So totally get it. And I just wish there was more females that would take the plunge to go out and jog, or to, even go out in the double seater to see what it's like,
Yes.
because you'll get hooked like instantly because it
Every girl that I have taken out in the last 4 or 5 years that has worked for me, they're obsessed. And a couple of them obviously stayed in Canada. And I was talking to a girl, Jess Cross is her name, the other day. And I said, you come in the States to work for me? And I actually really love where I'm at. But I do wish I could do more track work because I was constantly like, take this one, go jog, take this one, go jog. I don't think she ever got to train with us, but she loved to be on the track. And when you love to do something, you want to do more of it, let them. It's the only way you get better at it.
exactly. Well, that's awesome. I'm so thankful that I got to talk to you tonight. So that is going to be a wrap for um episode 27. I'm still in shock that it's 27. Oh my
I'm so
dear.
happy you guys are doing these. These are so fun. I love listening to them. My dad is constantly, did you listen to this week? Did you listen to this week? Because they've been a
Always
hit. It's a great idea.
love it. Yeah, he's always like, "Hey, that was a really good one, guys." And I'm like, "Thanks, Chuck." Like it's amazing. They've gone so far. So, and everybody is like, this is kind of, we need other things within the industry to grow it. And me and Scott
100%.
just came up with the idea, and we were like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. And we were getting messages, hey, I'll come on the podcast. I'm like, perfect. Like, you're in. I have no problem doing it. So I'm so glad that you took the time tonight, and I am very appreciated that you did this because I had fun doing my other one with Amber Campbell. Me and her did one
Love
solo,
her.
one is solo with you. So it's really nice to actually get that one-on-one conversation. So again, thank you. And I want to thank our sponsor, which is Governor's Pub and Eatery. And I also want to wish everyone that is in the Drivers Challenge this upcoming weekend in PEI good luck, stay safe, and everybody will be watching and cheering you guys on. So that is a wrap. And thank you, Teesha, for joining us on Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate.
Perfect. Thank you. It's been fun.